stuff. And there's some guys that I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you see them out there that may not be not household names today, but will develop into that here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and this defense under Matt Patricia, super versatile with guys like Kenyatta Jackson. You mentioned Little coming in from Florida State and Alabama. They always have corners. They always have pass rushers. On offense, if I was to give you the option, Heisman Trophy ceremony, we talked about Sayin being there last year. You think it's more likely Sayin's there, or do you think Jeremiah Smith in his final season with the Buckeyes, he winds up being a Heisman finalist?
The thing is, I don't know if you can decouple those, which is crazy, because if Jeremiah has a good season, like Julian probably, I mean, he's throwing him the ball. And so I think it's a little circular reference. If Jeremiah goes, I think Julian is definitely there. And I think that there's a good chance that he might be the Heisman Trophy winner. I know Jeremiah's looked at it. His goal is to get there. As a non-quarterback, like that's kind of the apex. I mean, Devontae Smith won it. I get that. But, you do with it what you can. I would say it's more likely that Julian goes, just because when you look at it historically, I mean, most of the guys that get there are quarterbacks. And so probably 2/3 to 3/4 are. And so I'm going to roll with the QB just simply off the numbers.
Bobby Carpenter is our guest, former Buckeye great, national champion 02. The Big Ten, Ohio State is plus 180 to win it. Indiana's 2.5 to 1. Oregon's plus 260. Who scares you the most between those two at the top?
It's really interesting. I'd probably have to say Indiana, because they beat Ohio State last year. They were good. They've got a lot coming back. They've got to break in Hoover at quarterback, but Cignetti, like over the last 2 years, he's had transfer quarterbacks, and both of them have played great. So why would you think that they're not going to play great this year? Like it should be the same way. And I think it's wild to think that there's an expectation where Indiana is just going to be good. But I think that's where we're at. And Dan Lanning, this is a great opportunity. He's got a great quarterback coming back. We'll see if they can continue to develop and how good they are. And that they're very talented, but ultimately, can they win big games in the playoffs? That's the one thing that's kind of, I wouldn't say haunted, but Dan Lanning, that's a question he has to be able to answer. And, we're getting to the point now where you start talking about, are you a big game coach? And he's won big games in the regular season, but I think right now I would lean with Curt Cignetti and give him, the edge. Just simply they're good and they're coming off a national title.
That is a big statement, Bobby. We really appreciate you doing this today. Looking forward to chatting with you throughout the football season here. Everyone check out The Morning Juice, 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, Bobby Carp Show as well. All the information on his X page at BCarp3. Thanks so much, man, and enjoy the football season.
Yeah. Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, guys. You have a good one.
I thought that was a big statement at the end. I thought him saying that Indiana, and we just talked about it on the show yesterday, Matt Humans with a great write-up talking to bookmakers from around the country. The public is not buying the Hoosiers returning to prominence. And it's so funny. It's like, guys, this is Cignetti. If this was college basketball, you'd believe. Because college basketball, we're conditioned to believing you could turn over a roster and just start over.
So true.
And when I first started betting on stuff, Patrick Maher would be like, dude, you're getting way too caught up in all this semantics with college basketball. You bet on coaches. That's it. And if you're going to bet on coaches, why wouldn't you bet on Curt Cignetti? So that's my thought there. We're going to kick it to the National Football League. The rest of the NFC East has improved. Are they good enough to not knock the Eagles off their pedestal? We'll examine that with Daryl Moose Johnston next on A Numbers Game.
$30 million in guaranteed prizes. Cash in this football season in Las Vegas with 3 Circus Sports contests. Entry starting at $1,000, all with no rate. Circa Million, 18 weeks of point spread action. Circus Survivor, pick one winner each week, no point spread. And the Big Daddy, Circa Grandissimo, with a $100,000 entry fee. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. $30 million guaranteed. Visit circusports.com for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike Somich from Beeson at the Track podcast, where Aaron Halterman and I handicap horse races and help you learn more about the sport of kings.
Weather is one of the banes of our existence because not only is it difficult to predict, when it comes, it completely changes handicaps
right now,
of the race.
Our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I got to tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Are you tired of switching apps just to catch your favorite shows and live events? Say hello to the iMedia1 Network app, your one-stop destination for streaming and everything that matters. From national sports to exclusive local content, Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast are now all in one place, anytime, anywhere. Download the free iMedia1 Network app on iOS and Android and unlock the future of sports audio in the palm of your hand. The iMedia1 Network, your sports app in the Valley.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Are you ready to hit the gridiron and make your mark? The Cleveland Cobras are recruiting players and coaches for the upcoming Premier Amateur Football League season. We're looking for passion, grit, and the relentless drive to win. Whether you're a seasoned vet or hungry rookie, your shot starts now. Join a brotherhood, build a legacy, strike with the Cobras. Follow us on Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football, or for league information, visit PAFLfootball.com to get started today. Team, pride, Cobras.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Ohio. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
It's time to kick back and listen to the Sports Page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning Sports Page. Pat Lucia, super sub. I've got the super sub with me, Bob Gessler. Any technical difficulties with the headset?
I can't really hear anything out of the headset, but that's okay.
Okay.
Slide it to the side.
We'll have to get our programming owner.
Genius.
Guru. Jim Craven to the rescue.
Jim Craven to the rescue.
I got super sub Bob Gessler filling in for Dave Clark. Dave Clark out for another week. We will be out next week. No show next week. So we're just work through a few little technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's all right.
We're used to it. Anyway, as we obviously go through August, we had a great football game Thursday night. Arizona, Carolina. Actually, that was like one for the ages. I mean, seriously, for the Hall of Fame football, I mean, that game, it was played great. Carson Beck looks like the man.
He's like a seasoned veteran.
Yeah. I mean, he had 2 years at Georgia, one at Miami's, 24 years old.
Yeah.
He got out there. And he even commented that I was very comfortable, with this offense, and I felt really okay. But he had command of the game from the go. I mean, he knew where to go with the ball, throw.
But both quarterbacks.
Yeah, both of them.
And even the guys who came in after them.
Yeah.
They looked seasoned.
Yes.
It was amazing. They looked so good.
That was a well-played game, because usually some of the exhibition games can kind of not be so, they can look bad at times. That game those guys played, that was a regular season, good NFL game.
It's funny, because Carol and I sat on the back porch watching the game. And I looked at her after the first quarter and I went, you would think these are a bunch of starters. She goes, they're not?
Yeah,
I go, you'll never see these guys again. A lot of these guys, they may not even ever get a contract. I said, all your main starters are on the sidelines. A lot of them, they don't play. And it's just, it's how it is. I know. And I said, at the end of the game, I looked at her and said, this is the best Hall of Fame game. And I've been watching Hall of Fame games since I've been coaching football, so 40 years. And like I told her, I said, best game I ever watched on a Hall of Fame game. Because it's never, it's off. It does, you want to hear names or see things, but it's just absolutely crazy. Absolutely. I said, it was a fun game. I ended up, where it's like, man, that's a great throw, or wow, look at that catch, and great run, and it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Great game.
In fact, it was so great that Carolina won on the last play of the game.
How about that?
I mean, that's the part that kind of amazes me is the fact that not only was it a very, very good game to watch for Hall of Fame, because as you said, historically those games kind of look pretty rough because coaches are pretty much running guys in and out. They're just trying to get an idea who's going to make the squad and who's cutting. And sadly, because of what it is, a fair amount of those players won't even get contracts and won't even be in the league come opening day in NFL. But Carolina won 33-30. The score's kind of irrelevant. They won on the last play of the game. So
right.
Their quarterback, Carolina quarterback, and the name escapes me. Gosh. He played at Georgia Tech, Haynes King.
Yeah.
And I think he might make the team as a third stringer. But Haynes King made that 5-yard touchdown run at the end to win it 33-30. He's the type of guy, he's a football player.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the old-fashioned, I'll make it happen.
Sure.
I'll do whatever I need to do to score or make whatever play. And, it's not like he stands out as being, this guy's one of the... No, but he's a football player. He's the type of guy who comes in, he can make a play with his legs or he makes a heck of a pass or he does something, but that's his style. And
right.
He ran that ball in. Carolina wins 33-30. Again, the score is irrelevant, but the game itself. And then Carson Bank, the third-round pick out of Miami, he looked like a seasoned vet out there. Now, granted, keep it perspective-wise. It's a Manila defenses, that they're not really going to. But he actually never
phased him.
Never phased him. He had control of the game, control of the offense, knew where the players were going to be, and then the passing was there. He threw the passes were perfect passes.
But see, here's one thing that, as a coach, as a line coach for as many years as I coached, up until even the scourge, and I watched that line. I want to tell you something. Those guys up front gave him all day.
Yeah, they did.
There was very little plays where he had to rush. Even when he went out and the other quarterbacks came in. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, these guys were out there to say, I'm going to make this team. That, as a coach, is going to be for Cardinals, it's going to be very hard to release some of these guys that they actually played well. And that's going to be rough. But you know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say they may get rid of some of the veterans that are holding on, that are 2s or 3s, that might look at that offensive line that they gave them that time and say, hey, let's try to just bring these guys in. Let's see what they could do. And if they don't work out, we cut them by the last cut. But I think both offensive lines did an outstanding job. And usually, and Tom Noble, my defensive coordinator, will always say, go, get quarterback. And I used to say, well, the defense is nothing because that's all you guys got to do is go get the quarterback. Where the offense, and it's true, the offense takes longer because of the timing and everything. Defense, it's, here's your play, pin your ears back, go get the ball carrier or go get the quarterback. Again, not taking away from anything with defense. It's very difficult too. But it takes time to produce your offense a lot longer than it does your defense. It's just that simple. Yes, you're running generic plays. They're not blitzing. They're not having to worry about that. But that gives a good look with those rules. Gives a good look at okay, who's actually a player and who's actually not. Can we rely on him? So I really think both teams have a lot of players have a good shot to make it in the NFL. And if not there, they're going to go to the other league because I think they could play.
UFL, yeah,
UFL.
they could go there. For the record, we talk a lot on this show, and not only on this show, but all the experts like Greg Cosell, who's on, Colin Coward, always looks at what he thinks, and I agree with him 100%, a very important stat is how many starts do these quarterbacks have in college? And you take Richardson, who was drafted by the Colts, who's really struggling as an NFL quarterback, only played really one season, and he got drafted right away. Great talent, but I believe only had like 12 or 15 games under his belt. I could look up the exact number, but he only played one full season, and he's struggling in the NFL. And Greg Cosell brings a lot of this up. He goes, the more starts these young men get, the better chance of succeeding in the NFL. It makes so much sense. But like Carson Beck, for all of the people forget, like he had 55 starts, and his last 3 years. And now you got to remember, in Georgia in 2023, he had 14 starts. People thought he was going to be the number 1 overall pick coming out of the draft, but he stayed in school.
Which was smart for him.
Which was obviously. So he ended up playing, he actually had 6 years in college. Mm-hmm. 2 freshmen, because I believe it a red shirt, and then a COVID. And bottom line is, though, he came back, he played, he had really great numbers in 2023, where he led the league country in completions and total attempts. He was 302 completions out of 417 attempts. But when you look at how he did like last year at Miami, and those 2 years, 2023 and 2025, his completion percentage was 72%.
Which is unheard of.
Unheard of. And again, he had another great year at Miami, almost won a national title.
Yeah. Yes.
Against Indiana. It was ended up being a close game. They actually had a chance to win the game at the end, and they failed. But the whole point of it is he's got all these starts. He comes in to the NFL. Again, he's 24 years old. He looks like, to me, I watched him. He's a seasoned veteran, and I'm thinking to myself, he went to the 3rd round because people didn't think he was.
Well, sure.
He fell off. He wasn't this,
Right.
They always find reasons not to draft guys.
Right.
And sometimes they talk themselves out of drafting guys.
Right.
And I think they did with him. But he came in, and granted, it's only one game. It's only an exhibition game. But if you're Arizona, your whole takeaway is we might have our quarterback for the future.
Absolutely.
Because we've got Jacoby Brissett for the 1 year, but people are already jumping to the fact that Jacoby will be the starter, and then depending how the team goes, you're going to want to have Carson Beck come in and play, because you're going to see, is he the guy? Do we need him? Is he our guy, or do we draft next year? Because next year is supposed to be quarterback heaven as far as the draft goes. They're going to be falling. All the great quarterbacks are falling from heaven like manna from heaven. You're going to have all these quarterbacks. Supposedly it's going to be the greatest quarterback of all time. We always hear this. But people are already assuming that teams are going to make this decision. The Browns, we'll get to them because that's the word.
Well, yeah, they brought that up.
And they brought that up because bottom line is next year all the quarterbacks are coming out, and supposedly that's going to be, the class of class, and Arizona's going to have to make a decision. Is Carson Beck our guy or not? Do we draft a quarterback? Because they're over and under. I believe their win total is like 4.5. So nobody's expecting Arizona to do anything this year.
What was funny was they kept showing the 2 different quarterbacks, Brissett and then what's his name from Carolina. He's jumping up and down, happy for his quarterback.
Right, because he knows he's the guy.
Yeah, he knows he's the guy.
Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
And you saw
Jacoby
he looked like somebody hit him over the head with a bat, because he didn't look confident.
No, he didn't look real he was doing a lot of jumping around.
So I think he's like, oh boy, what's going to happen to me? But he only has signed a 1-year contract.
And he got paid. They gave him more money.
Yeah.
They gave him a lot more money because they were paying him for quarterback next to nothing, and they upped his salary significantly and gave him a pretty good bump in pay.
Right.
So he's, he'll be fine. But yeah, he's kind of looking at it as am I going to, this guy's probably going to be taking my place because
if not starting.
Or, well, and
you don't know what's going to happen in training camp. We don't see behind the scenes. You'll see playoff games or you'll see scrimmages, whatever you want to call them. So they get these teams together throughout the year, and at training camps, they'll bring a team in, and Washington will play this one and whatever. So if he keeps progressing, they'll have to make a decision going in. Who's our starting quarterback now? I mean, he better shine because Beck, he really looked good. Again, it's only one game, but did you expect that game to be anywhere close to what it was?
Not at all.
Because it never is.
No.
Because by the second quarter, I'm turning the channel. Okay, I saw what I saw. Okay, this one could make it. That's the determination. But on every aspect, I mean, guys going after balls, catching balls, defenses racking people. I mean, it looked like a third game in the season. I mean, these guys looked sharp. And that's a tribute to their head coach and their staff. They had those guys ready to play.
Yeah, both LaFleur is obviously the new coach at Arizona, and then Canales is the coach. He's been there, a year at Carolina?
Second year, I think it's the second year. I think.
He's done a lot with Carolina and Young, the quarterback. But that's where I give the coaches a lot of credit because obviously these kids were coached up. They were ready to play. And and there weren't all these. Usually you watch that game and you see a lot of blown coverages or it just kind of seems like a semi-train wreck of a game.
Yeah.
You could see guys don't know where to go. The offenses are all kind of, there's backups who don't really know what to do. A
lot of pointing here. Right. Hold on. You're wrong. You see quarterbacks try.
And they're all.
You didn't see that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
As I'm telling you, I was very, very impressed.
Yeah. I was
very
astounded
impressed.
because I couldn't believe how not only were the quarterbacks obviously ready to play and Pickett showed you Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett had a hell of a game.
He had a heck of a great game. He looked great being the backup. And bottom line is, but when you look at Beck, I mean, you're looking at these quarterbacks. These guys could start anywhere. And now you're thinking maybe Carolina in that division obviously is a coin flip division.
Yeah.
Between Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, and Carolina. I don't know who's going to win that division.
And bringing that up, Tampa Bay and Baker, they're tapping, they're kind of butting heads on that because there's on the contract.
Right.
And Baker's not happy. Baker feels that, hey, and he did. I'm sorry. He brought that team back.
He did.
That team was faltering very badly.
Yep.
They just didn't look good. They get Baker, and a lot of people don't care for Baker. Okay, I don't know if they think he's cocky or whatever. But you talk to any of his people that played with him, they love him. And it's never about him. It's always ever been about the team. Yeah. That's why I don't understand with Cleveland. They'll say, he wanted to play hurt. I don't believe that. I believe Cleveland said, and I don't think Stefanski liked them. That's my opinion. I don't think he did. Just two different people. But, I mean, they loved him up there, and people laughed about commercials he did. He's a funny guy. He's a good. It was nice to see a liked player. We haven't seen that since Brian Sipe and Kozars. Now you bring somebody in, and you don't. He's our 96 quarterback since we've been back in '99.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just quarterback after quarterback. We finally get somebody who's stable, and he gets ruined there. And that was the talk that I heard for years. Oh, they're going to go to the Browns, and he'll be ruined within a year. Their quarterback will be done. But, I mean, look at some of our quarterbacks we had. Come on, guys.
Yeah, they've had Cleveland has been a high. Obviously, that's a gross understatement, a high turnover quarterback. That's a firm grasp of the obvious. But when you really look at we'll get to Cleveland too, because their situation now is, Watson looks like people think will be the starter, or now they're saying Shador is really looking really good in practice. So now it seems like that's up in the air. But, they are finally in the end of the contract with Watson. Now people are speculating that if Deshaun Watson goes out and plays great and Cleveland wins, what will they do? Will they keep him another year? Will they let him go? So that's obviously creating a lot of chaos, at least for some of the Cleveland fans. They really want to move on from Deshaun Watson. But again, if they come back and play good this year, but again, the expectation level right now in Cleveland, if I look at I think their over and under number was again somewhere 5.5 or maybe 6.5. I know the Cardinals, Arizona, is like 4.5 based on the division they're in.
Right.
Because they're going to head San Francisco, the Rams, and Seattle. People are looking at that. Can they win a game? But Arizona, like Dave and I always talk about the Cardinals, they're a funny team because you can't ever figure out what they're doing. Like they'll throw you a curve, especially if you're picking games and laying points. Arizona's a horrible team because a lot of teams don't cover when they play Arizona.
Right.
And if you're a bettor, they're a nightmare.
But to be honest with you, the Cardinals have been like that for years.
Oh, totally.
I mean, you could go back to the Jim Hart era. I mean, back that far.
The Bidwells are the owners, and they've always been a lot of people criticize the Bidwells on how they can conduct the business and how they handle the team. And a lot of people, a lot of fans, they don't like the owners.
Right.
And they'll support their team, kind of, but they don't have a big home that's not a big I always look at Arizona's like a place where you don't have a lot of they love their football, their college football, but the fans seem very indifferent about
because they really never had a team that could say we're going to go deep into the playoffs.
Right.
They've never.
No.
They really have not. I mean, I don't think they've ever won a Super Bowl.
They got in one Super Bowl against the Steelers and lost.
Boy, when was that? That had to be a while ago, I'm thinking.
Kurt Warner.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, yeah, there you go.
Larry Fitzgerald. Let me go.
Well, that's the other thing. Fitzgerald,
you're right.
And God bless him, he made, Pitt grad, and he made it to the Hall of Fame, so congratulations. Always liked Fitz. He was a great player. How he ended up, could you imagine if he was with a team that was, a great contender? His numbers would have been off the charts. I believe he would have beat a Jerry Rice out. He would have been, that much better. He just didn't have the team around him. The talent wasn't there.
No. Make sure I have that right. Why do I? Maybe they weren't. I
don't remember them being in a Super Bowl.
Who did this? I guess I was trying to figure out the year. Yeah, they did 2008.
2008.
Yeah, they were. I thought 27-23. That was the year that Holmes caught that ball, made that miraculous catch in the end zone, and they won the game because it looks like Arizona was going to pull that game out. They lost 27-23 in the 2008 Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I knew they were because I remember Larry Fitzgerald making that catch for the touchdown.
Okay.
And I thought Arizona was going to win that game. And obviously they did not win that game. But, Arizona, because it was a weird game because Arizona was losing. It was, I'm pulling it, they were down 17-7 at half, and then after three quarters, they were losing 20-7. Everybody go, okay. But then Arizona put up 16 points in the fourth quarter, and then Pittsburgh made that run at the end and scored the touchdown to win the game. San Antonio Holmes caught that ball in the end zone, got the feet down.
I remember now.
Yeah.
Yep. I gotcha. Wow.
And that's basically what went on. But the bottom line is the Cardinals have had a rough when you break it down, they've had a rough go at it if you look at a franchise, they've been kind of always down at the bottom of the heap.
Yeah.
Never really a contender. That Kurt Warner made, his comeback, and the team put it together. They got kind of lucky in the playoffs.
Sure.
Things went their way that year.
Okay.
And they found themselves in the Super Bowl in a position to win. But then people go, well, yeah, they're the Cardinals. So they found a way to lose.
Yeah.
And I guess people are thinking you can't, if you're Steelers, you can't lose to the Cardinals in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that wouldn't be
no,
well on
that wouldn't be
Steel
well.
City. They would not.
Steel
like
City,
that.
if they would never forgive Roethlisberger because that's who the starter was. Yeah, and that was Tomlin's only Super Bowl.
Okay.
That was his second year as head coach.
Speaking of Tomlin, how do you think he did when they at halftime when he was on the panel?
He's all right.
I think it was all right. I kind of liked him.
Right.
But as I was watching it, I told Carol, I said, "Look at him. He looks like he took a house off of him."
Yeah.
Man, his last year at the Steelers, he just did not look good.
He didn't look good.
He didn't look healthy. He looked. I don't want to say puzzled, but he did not look good.
No.
Man, he looked refreshed. I mean, he took all that stuff off of him and said, you know what, I could get up in the morning. I don't have to worry about nothing now. I don't have to stay at the office. My days are 23 hours, for God's sake, and that's what a lot of guys do. They're in their office sleeping and stuff. They never leave because there's so much pressure on them. And he looked, I tell you what, I was never a Tomlin fan, but listening to him, he did an outstanding job. I really think he'll go places. I think he could go into a panel like that and talk and do what he got to do. So I was impressed with Mike. And you know what? I talked to Jerry Osafsky one time. We had a get-together. I said, how good of a coach he is. He said, Coach, I want to tell you something. He is one of the smartest men I ever met when it came to football. His football sense and mindset is second to none. And I thought, wow, okay. I mean, I always attributed it, the head coaches, they got to be smart. But I always said I was so successful as a head coach because I put good guys around me. It was the guys that got me, I'm just the guy out there to say, okay, take your bow, coach. I always said it was always staff. So, I mean, I guess Tomlin, he ran the show. He did a heck of a job. So it was great. I was happy to hear that Jerry said that. So outstanding.
Tomlin, obviously the problem he had, he just could not do could not do anything in the playoffs. He had a good regular season, never had a losing season, but he just couldn't get that team. And expectation, obviously, with Steelers.
Well, yeah, that's it.
Not only you just don't get into the playoffs and lose, you got to go well deep into the playoffs.
Well, sure.
And get into a Super Bowl. So we're coming up on our break. Saturday Morning Sports page. Back. There's our music. We'll take a quick time out, and we'll figure all of it out on our break. Pat Lucia, Bob Gessler filling in for Dave Clark. Back after this.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Lena's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for years, he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
If you want to stay on top of your health, one simple thing to do
is take the pledge to go and get screened for the cancers that might affect you.
So stand up to cancer and take the pledge at GetScreenedNow.org.
It only takes a minute to take care of yourself, and nothing rhymes with org.
Talk to your doctor about your health and screenings that are right for you.
Saturday Morning Sports Page back as we go through our
little technical.
gyrations.
Well, we had a little technical difficulty.
We worked it
Our
out.
sound man came in.
Our sound man.
Their technical director,
Came in on
Jim
his
Craven,
cape.
came in.
To the rescue.
Saved us.
Jim Craven to the rescue.
Perfect.
Bob Gessler doing a great job filling in for Dave Clark.
I try.
You're the super sub.
Yeah, okay. If you guys want to believe that, but it's hard to sit in this chair when you know that you had an NFL player and a USFL player or whatever that was back then, and sitting there. And I've always been at awe at Dave. I mean, it just,
know.
as a kid, you're growing up and you go, man, that'd be great to do this, do that, and stuff, and and then you get to be around somebody. And when I tell you something about Dave Clark, he is the nicest human being. He is just a great guy. I love being in the booth with him, and then we've been up to playoff games and stuff, and listening to him. And he's got that deep voice, that Lou Rawls voice.
Smooth.
I bet you didn't have any problems when he was growing up getting women just because of that voice. Sing to me, Lou.
That's so funny. As we talk about first quarter of the show, we're going 11 today. And then, like I said, we're out next week. So a little vacation. And then, I got high school football then coming up week after next.
Yep. Jim and I are going to go up to, actually, they're playing at Poland.
Yeah, Salem at Poland.
They're good. That's the preview because they already scrimmaged Streetsboro at Poland. But
was that the day in the rain?
It was last Friday or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, yeah.
Talked to my brother Dave about it. He says they have a lot of work to do.
Really?
He said they got talent. They're there. There's some injuries that might hurt them. He said, but overall they got to get better. He said they really got to get better. And Louisville coming down next Thursday, I believe. I think it's Thursday or Friday. I have it, and they are. That's their preview. There'll be full pads. It'll be that half. Excuse me. It'll be the half a game situation. So it's so it'll be interesting. It'll be real interesting on how they look and what they do. So, but
because that's the 21st will be the first. That's the
it's coming up. A couple weeks.
Right, it's 2 weeks away, and then they've got the Thursday game on. And then that'll be like the kickoff games. They have a few games our way. And then Friday is the 21st is when everybody all the teams.
Everybody's rolling.
Will be rolling in action across the state of Ohio.
Yep.
So not only here.
And I've been watching 21. They do the previews. I'll tell you what, West Branch, they got some. That one receiver 6'6", when he's back. He's a senior for West Branch. Quarterback looks strong, another big one. Just from what I see, Mooney's going to be a team to watch. Obviously Girard. They you got that quarterback. I believe now he will be a junior. Their good, speedy receiver. He was a freshman last year.
Wow.
He'll be back as a sophomore. They lost a few things up front on the line, but, I mean, they were big backups anyway.
Right.
So I really think that the coach is doing a good job over at Girard, so I think Girard's one. Curious to see what's going to happen with Fitch. I just got a post on for Cheney, and again, what the whatever they're called. I think the city schools combined, they got a good staff and a lot of players. There's going to be a bunch on that. It's going to be curious on how they do. So, I mean, I think our area, some have slipped, some have gotten stronger. So it's going to be an interesting year.
It'll be an interesting
it's
season
going to
to
be an
see
interesting season. So I can't
what
can't.
happens.
Yeah, I want to see what happens. I think it'll be fun.
Right. I know last year it seemed that there was a big difference in talent with teams. Like a lot of games were not competitive. And
Correct.
even in the state finals last year, the games really were not competitive. It was a weird year because it was like there were teams that were just great, and then there are teams that just, big fall off.
That happened the year that South Range and Canfield,
right?
Because we called that game, and doing some research with the team, the Canfield play, and they're undefeated, and they got two backs that ran for over 1,000 yards. And, you watch things. And, again, no disrespect for the team, and I don't remember who it was. Never heard of them. Don't know where they're from. And watching their backs, and I'm thinking, in pregame, you're expecting to see something. Again, I'm thinking, those two guys ran for 1,000 yards? They look like they got their feet are in mud.
Right.
I mean, they just didn't look good, and yet they went undefeated. And, oh, boy. Canfield came out and just took them to the woodshed. I mean, it was just those guys. I don't even know if combined they had 50 yards rushing. Canfield just ate them up. That team didn't do anything.
Well, and I think sometimes the problem you have there is the divisions they're in. Like Canfield's a Division III. I believe South Range is what a 4 or 5.
They were a 4 or 5, I think. Then I don't know.
Poland's a 4.
Now Fitch went up, right? They're now
Fitch is
a 1. Oh boy.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing is when you're looking, like I said, South Range let me see if they're up, because Canfield is a 3. Yeah, they're a Division III now. And then I'm trying to think. They don't even place that. Oh, no, they do. Dad, no, South Range is a 6.
Oh.
I'm looking at it now. South Range is a 6. I was looking at the 5s, and I don't see them at 5. No, they're actually now a 6. They're in with Lowville. To kind of give you an idea, JFK, Campbell. So,
oh, my.
Yeah, they've dropped in class as far, they're size-wise.
Wow, they could play Lisbon.
Right.
They could play, who else? Oh, my gosh. I mean, Division 6. It's funny, I was at dinner the other day.
Yeah, Lisbon, you said it. Lisbon is in their division. Lisbon is 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got a lot of interesting. Poland's a 4. South Range is now a 6. And they play Canfield, and Canfield is 3.
Think about that. Ouch.
So that could be.
Now, if South Range would beat Canfield, oh, my Lord. Could you imagine the points?
Oh, yeah.
As a Division 6, what would happen? I went to a fireplace yesterday and had dinner. Carol was at a function, and I was sitting next to an older gentleman, and Tommy, the owner, I go to church with him at Holy Family. We were talking, and he said something about football. I said, yeah, it'll be starting. And the guy next to me started talking to me. He goes, where'd you graduate from? I said, Cheney. I said, where'd you graduate from? South Range.
Okay.
I said, oh, okay. I said, what's your last name? Toy. Like, I said, you guys, there's so many of you guys. Holy mackerel. I think there's still one on the team. He goes, yeah, these were my grandsons or something like that. I'm
so
like,
it's like a,
yeah.
it's
So from way back, I said,
back, right.
I told him, I says, it's your school that was right there off of South Avenue or Market Street, I think it is. I said, well, I coached the Western Reserve Scourge, and we used to play our games there at the field in the back. And I said, I remember going there to a couple playoff games as I was coaching and stuff, and saw you guys. And
it was just right when you went.
Yeah, right behind the school.
Yeah.
right past the intersection.
March, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that was funny. I'm like, is there any more of you guys? Every year that we announce a game, there's always a
it's that Route 164 in
yes.
in Market Street.
Yes,
like
right
when
there.
you cross over. Yeah, it was that
Right
school
there
was
on the right.
There.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
they moved it then over. To
Yeah,
the
they
other
have a
side.
beautiful.
Yeah,
They got
now
beautiful
they've got a brand new
facility.
stadium and a new school that they built over there.
Yeah,
But
gorgeous facility.
But that high school football being interesting, like I said, we're 2 weeks away, and then obviously we're college football. Then I believe this is weird this year because the NFL is starting late because Labor Day is late. So the first full weekend in the NFL is like that weekend of September 11th.
I was going to say around the 13th, 12th, whatever. Yeah,
it was like. I think the first game is the 13th.
They said something
because
about a
Wednesday is the kickoff this year. That's the NFL kickoff game between New England and Seattle, which.
Why did they pick a Wednesday? I was a little confused on that.
Not sure, because then they have the game, I believe. They have the game. The NFL is just Roger Goodell. I get it, kind of. You're trying to build the team, or
we're trying to go worldwide with it.
Worldwide
because of the money.
Here it is. Wednesday, September 9th will be the first game, the kickoff game. New England at Seattle, NBC 8:20. Then Thursday night, they'll have the game on Netflix. So the Thursday night game, the game after that, San Francisco at LA, then they're actually playing that in Melbourne, in Australia. They're playing at Melbourne Cricket Ground. That's the name of the venue.
And what time and what you said?
That's
Netflix
going to be at 8:20. That game, the Thursday night game, is 8:35 on Netflix.
PM or
PM?
Okay.
No, they're not going to.
Because we got to get that verified.
They're not deviating. They're not putting it on at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. No.
Well, some of those games, I wake up and there's a final score because they're so early in the morning.
Because that's the Sunday games. They like to give us those. But I know we're a little bit away. But yes, September 9th will be the first game. Where if you kind of look at it, high school will have 4 games in the books before the Sunday game is played in the NFL.
Right.
So high school will be kind of dominating, at least
to that point.
Well, then the thing that gets interesting, though, is the college is at the end of the month. Like college football, I believe I was trying to think the kickoff on that one, I think, is at the end of this month. So I'm trying to get.
So it'd be should be right before Labor Day, I would think. You might sneak a game or two in.
Oh yeah,
but it won't be. Usually
it's Saturday, the first game, because we're going to talk about this. Saturday, the first game, they've got it listed as at August 29th.
Yeah.
And that's going to basically be North Carolina versus TCU. And that's going to be in Dublin, Ireland. And that's going to be at noon. So that'll be, and then the 3:30 game is San Jose at USC, NBC. And then it's a kind of a limited schedule there that Saturday, but you're still going to have games to watch. So college football will start a week after high school.
Right.
But then you're going to have to wait until September 9th
for everybody.
Pro to start.
Yeah.
So there's a gap there, and you'll actually have a couple college games under your belt before pro football starts this year. Because Labor Day's late, so that's pushing the calendar, and the NFL always starts after Labor Day.
So when's Labor Day?
Labor Day's not, I believe it is the 7th of September.
Oh, good. That gives me more time for training.
Right.
For the weenie race.
There you go.
For Mocha Joe.
Yeah, you're going to have it. You're going to
have that. We're a
you're going to
packed
get
house.
another break there. Yeah.
One more week.
September 7th will be Labor Day, so it's
Yeah.
starting late. So, but college football will have their kickoff, and it's going to be Bill Belichick in North Carolina, and everybody. Irish Mike had sent me a text and said to me, and I'm going to run this by you, so it's your opinion. Who's been a bigger bust, Urban Meyer in the NFL or Bill Belichick in college?
Urban Meyer, because he didn't last.
I basically told him this. I said, if Bill Belichick turns it around this year in North Carolina, then it is Urban Meyer. But if Belichick goes out and has the season that he had last year and all the disaster, all the other noise outside of coaching and the game, he's dating the young girl and all this stuff, and he's been going to her cheerleading contests or whatever, and supposedly there's all this noise about, him not really paying the attention. Then he had Mike Lombardi, his GM, being put out on leave, and there's an investigation. They're not saying
What a mess.
They're not saying what he did. So obviously now the speculation is crazy, and the people in North Carolina are really tired of it.
Yeah, they've had it.
The game and the team was not competitive last year, and they're paying Belichick a boatload of money to coach the team, and they're pouring in all the money in NIL, and the team's not in, and the team was terrible last year.
Yeah, they were not good.
So I told Irish Mike, I said, well, I thought that if Belichick stays there and continues to, the team is poor and is, not competitive, he's still coach. I said that he will be a bigger bust than Urban, because at least Urban they got rid of right away. Like, they knew first of all, Urban was a bad hire. I don't know why they hired him, because, he's just not it, and he's never.
There are people that are not NFL coaches that have no business going to the NFL because they don't last.
One.
Yeah, Lou Holtz admitted it.
And he admitted it.
He admitted it. I'm a college coach, and this is where I belong. And look what he did, turning programs around.
Oh yeah,
too.
he did. Yeah.
The man. He took Arkansas,
right,
and then from there, he had some bumps in the road. But every place that they were very, very competitive and turned it around.
He won the last national title.
Yes,
at
Notre Dame. Absolutely, he did.
So Holtz, a great coach, the late great Lou Holtz, who passed
shame.
this last year. But the point is, you're right. You've got guys that just don't transition well, either NFL to college or college to the NFL.
But that goes back, and I will tell you, I've been around a lot of staffs over the years because of different teams and stuff, and I have always said this, always, is that you can be a great assistant coach. That doesn't make you a great head coach.
Right.
You could be a great head coach at high school and then go to college, Jerry Fouts, and fall on your face.
And just not
and just not perform because your style works at high school, doesn't work at college. Therefore, and again, Urban Meyer, I'll use him as an example, great college coach. You're not a good.
Not at all.
No, you're not even close. Should have stayed where you're at because you could have built there. I guess he thought that he could change these guys around. Whatever the situation is, you can't coach college, and now everything's changed anyway, but you can't coach college kids one way and try to bring that and coach pros because they're getting paid for a job. Don't, you know.
The problem you ultimately have with pro college is to me, the dynamics are different. Your pro coach is you're really managing your assistant coaches. However, in the NFL, you have a GM and an owner. And the GM is watching every play, and the owner's watching every play with the GM. And you're under the microscope.
Oh.
And Monday morning comes around, or Sunday night comes around, depending on the GM you have and the coach or the owner, and you're in there on either, I'll say Monday morning, and you've got a coach or you got a GM close the door, the film's on, they're dissecting every play.
Yes.
What you did, why you called it.
Sure.
Depending on, again, the people involved, and they could just be a royal pain and drive you crazy because they'll be second guessing everything you did.
Because it's $1 billion industry.
Exactly. And the owner's paying you boatload of money. And the GM's probably getting a boatload of money now. So bottom line is you've got these dynamics there. You've got people just crawling up your butt, sort of, to speak.
That's true.
And they're just, where college, you don't have that.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of pressures and stuff. I'm sure Freeman's under a lot of pressure, and you know, at Notre Dame because being a black coach, and and he doesn't look at white-black at anything, which I commend him for it. But again, here's a lot of pressure on him. Your bigger schools, you're going to have that, but not the level in NFL because you're not getting paid $25 million to run a football team.
College now you are.
Well,
college,
again,
the salary. However, you don't have in college you don't have a GM and a president. Now you kind of have a GM with the money. That's what Belichick brought Lombardi in to manage talent and the team and money.
Sure.
So now the dynamic's slightly different, but you don't have the scrutiny on the college level as you do at the pro level. As you just said it with the pros, it's a multi-billion-dollar,
trillion.
Coach is worth.
Sure.
The team is usually worth over billions of dollars.
Well, look at these contracts that these guys are signing. Right. It's unheard of.
Well, and therein lies your other dilemma is, just because you're getting paid a lot of money, that doesn't mean you could turn the team around any quicker.
100%.
But because owners give you that money, they expect you.
Oh, yeah.
And history tells you that's never the case. Just because you get more money, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a better coach. It just means, and you're not going to turn, if you don't have the talent or you get the injuries or the GM doesn't draft the right people or you have people out of position, you're not going to win. I don't care how much money you're getting. Money's not going to dictate how well you coach.
It's your players.
Right.
Bottom line is if you don't have talent, at that level, at the pro level, what do you think you're going to do with these guys? You think you're going to flip a switch in them? It's not going to happen.
No, and that's the problem. The whole problem is you just can't able to turn. And just because you're getting more money, that doesn't mean you're a better coach. It's not like, you go back, and to some degree, it's the players. Like we talk, like back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, professional players did not make a lot of money.
$12,000 to $25,000 back in the day.
Back in the day.
And that was big money.
Our day growing up in the 60s, when you look at salaries, the New York Jets Super Bowl roster in 68, I had a book, and I tried to get located again, but they list the salaries that those players got. I mean, Matt Snell was considered a high paid because he had $25,000 a year. The linemen were getting $12,500.
Yeah,
it seemed like $12,500 was standard salary back then.
Yes,
for the players the Jets had on that team, and it was like that's what always cracked me up. Like, and even the coaches, Weeb Eubank wasn't making a boatload of money.
He wasn't making millions.
No, he was not. He was the head coach of the Jets. I bet I would venture to guess that I could probably get the salary. I bet you that he wasn't making $25,000-$30,000.
I would say high paid would be $50,000. That would be unheard of.
Woody Hayes I believe Woody's salary when he got fired was, I think he was making $40,000 a year.
Well, in defense to that, I don't think Woody cared.
No,
Woody
he did not.
He wanted to just coach Ohio State football. That was it.
If you ever read any book on Woody, Woody cared about people, pay forward, getting the kids educated. Woody's father was a principal. He grew up in a family of educators.
Right.
Woody's, if you really break it down, people look, oh, that one punch. Forget that. Remember, the man himself cared about really education first.
Yes, he did.
That's why he recruited so well with parents, because he would walk in, and Bobby Knight was kind of like the same way.
Yeah.
They would go into the residence, the houses, the mom and the dad and whoever, and Woody would talk about education and getting the importance of an education. He never mentioned football.
Right.
And parents were taken back because they were like, but you're the football coach. Yes, but the focus is to get your son educated and get a degree.
I wish they thought like that this time, not this year.
Exactly. Where is it gone?
Yeah, it's not.
It's 180 degrees. But the whole point of it is, when you break it down, it was a whole different era, and money wasn't driving the boat.
To get perspective, listeners, if you want to read a good book, now I've never read it, but I've heard so many things about it, which I'm not a reader. Books bore me. That's just how I am. No defense, people who could read and get in there. Yeah, it's just not me. But I want to get a book, and I've watched him for years on Johnny Carson. Art Donovan played for the Giants. Yep. He wrote a book. They call me Fatso. Yep. He talks about his playing times when he was with the Giants and stuff. These guys made $12,000 or less. I think he said his first year there he made like it was either $8,700 or $7,800.
Yes.
These guys at the season went and got jobs. It has gone 360 all the way around. I mean, if you want to even do more, it's crazy. These guys didn't make any kind of money. Nobody signed ever. These contracts now that these guys are getting is ridiculous. But again, you have to keep in mind, you have the players. They have their guy, their attorneys, whatever you want to call it.
Agents.
They're agents. Thank you, Pat. Couldn't think. The mine's going 4,000 miles an hour. And, they sign say, $1 million contract. Problem is, how much do they get out of that? They don't get what people think. They really don't, because their agent gets a cut, this gets a cut, that's taxes.
Right. People don't realize that even when these players today sign these $1 million, $50 million guaranteed, half of it goes to the government. So they're going to lose
easily
50% of it's the government. Then they have the other.
And that depends on where you're at.
And then if you're in a tax state, like if you take a California or a New York, where the taxes are higher, you lose more money. That's the reality. Where a lot of guys play in Texas because there's no state tax compared to California, New York, where the state taxes are really high.
I'm going to bring that up what Myles Garrett said about that.
Yeah. Well, we're at halftime already. Not everybody's sports page. Back after.
Someone's got to set the tone out there, boys. Someone's got to set it.
The station that sets the tone for Youngstown Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
To get inside each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Ohio. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday Morning Sports Page back. Pat Lucia. Super sub Bob Gessler filling in, doing a great job filling in.
You just bring me in because I don't shut up. I've been
No,
told
you're-
that. I don't know why.
You're entertaining.
I'm my
The
mother's.
fact-
I'm
I'm
my
shocked-
mother's child. She
I'm
was a
shocked that
talker.
you don't read books.
Yeah, no,
You don't.
I don't even read. If I got to fix something, I don't read it. I just go in and fix it. I can't. It's not. It doesn't interest me.
Well,
I'm a hands-on guy.
Yeah, the attention span's not quite there.
No, not it. Oh, you found that out? Something about my teachers used to say that too.
Oh man. So we're not far from high school football or pro.
Yeah.
We go to 11 today. Got a lot to get still. An hour. Gosh, I was thinking, geez, we blew through that hour
Like
so
it was
quick.
nothing.
Yeah, like it was quick. I don't know. Anyway, let's look at this as far as we have the pro football. North Carolina starts at TCU, Dublin, Ireland, ESPN. I think that's going to get a lot of people watching it because people are going to see, is North Carolina still a train wreck?
Yeah, that's why they're going to watch
They were talking about firing Belichick last year, then that got shoved underneath the proverbial rug, and they said, no, we're sticking with him. Now we'll see if he makes it through the season.
You got, and in defense to coaches, 3 years. You got to give the guy at least 3 years. I don't care.
Well, that's kind of what. See, the problem you have this society, it's worse now than it ever was because we're not a microwave society. We're way past that. But it's very driven by they want results right away. Like there's a story. Colin Cowherd was talking about this story where he knew either was a coach. Yeah, he knew a coach personally. Won't say name, but he took a job with the NFL team, and the owner was like, don't worry about it. We know the team stinks, but just coach this. This is a building year. So the guy comes out to coach the team, and ultimately he gets there, and he knows the team isn't very good, and he thinks the owner's okay. So team obviously starts off 0-1, 0-2. He doesn't think anything of it. Then he gets a phone call. The owner wants to meet with him. So it's 0-2. Guy goes in to the owner, and the owner's like, "Why aren't you winning? What's the problem
Oh, jeez.
with the team?" And the guy goes, "Well, wait a minute. This is rebuilding.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
just got a younger team. Blah blah injuries. You know how it goes. So the team's just trying to figure it out." And the owner's like, "Yeah, but I know that. But why aren't you winning games?" Like he was like, "Yeah, but I hired you to win." And the guy's like, "Wait a minute. When I started here, it was like it was rebuilding. It was okay. But after a couple 2 ugly games, and now all of a sudden it's like, why aren't you?" It's like, well, that you didn't. You led me to believe. You didn't lead me to believe. You told me it was a rebuilding year." But he goes, "However, this is so typical, I think, and I don't think this is anything out of the ordinary. I think this goes on pretty much across the board. Is the owners, they don't want to hear excuses. They want you to win.
Well, they want product. They want you to produce right away. It doesn't work that way.
They don't want to hear excuses, and you need to find a way to win. I paid you all this money to find solutions to the problems, not tell me what the problems are. I know what they are, but you need to find solution to those individual problems so the team is better and the team can compete and win Sundays, because I'm paying you, we just talked about it, all the money in the world." But the point is, that is today's world. Back when we watched football and we watched these teams play, coaches got more of a leeway because there's no internet. They didn't have a lot of assistant coaches.
No.
Like, this is the part that if you start looking at history with coaching and how these teams evolved, but coaches were given a lot more leeway because they weren't getting gazillions of dollars. Owners basically knew, okay, fine. And historically, when you really read history with football, those teams all lost money because they did not have great TV packages. And I'm talking...
Well, that's where these guys are making all the money.
Right, 40s
TV.
and 50s. When you look at history with football, I read some great books about like football in the 40s and the 50s and even into the 60s with the old AFL starting. Those teams struggled. In fact, it was the joke was back, if you bought a football team back in the 40s and the 50s, it was like, ha, you're going to lose money. Why would you do that? Like, that was considered a poor investment if you bought a football team way back then, because they never made money. In fact, because you had to have ticket sales in order to cover your costs. And if you didn't have people showing up, and people don't realize back in the 50s and the 60s, football turned the corner more in the 60s, but before even then, they didn't have a lot of revenue stream coming in.
Look at your first Super Bowl. If you ever watch any clips, look at the stadium.
It was not full.
And I don't even think it was half full.
No, it wasn't.
This was the Super Bowl. And it wasn't. Look how
it wasn't even called that.
No, it was the championship. It was the
NFL
championship.
Right.
That's what it was. Look how it has...
Oh, totally.
It has completely gone... It has exploded.
Oh, totally.
TV coverage, just revenues from sponsorships.
Oh, yeah.
Look at your TV ads.
Totally.
To run a 30-second commercial, it's only $1 million or $2 million.
Right now, for the Super Bowl coming up, all the TV ads are sold out. I heard this the other day. They were talking about it, that if you wanted to buy TV time for this Super Bowl coming up, you can't because they're gone. They're all sold out already.
People do that
already.
It's crazy.
And they spend millions upon millions of dollars for these ads, and they're already sold out for next year's Super Bowl. Is what I heard this the other day on the radio. They were talking about it. They were like, already, we haven't even started the season.
It's gone.
Look ahead. And the Super Bowl ads are all sold out now.
Unbelievable.
So good. But it's when you break it down, this is like total corporate America, but the money, and it's just it has totally changed. Like you just brought it up when we talked a little bit about the players, how the players back in the day never made it. They had to work off season.
Oh, sure.
Like growing up, we would get baseball cards.
Sure.
And if you turned over the baseball card, they had the guys' stats.
Yeah, stats on it.
They had always had usually what they said, what they did off season.
Yeah.
They
I
were
remember that. Now that you're saying that.
Insurance salesmen.
Yes.
Some guys were car salesmen.
Yes.
Some guys did some were teachers. Now granted they had to work around their schedule, but the whole point of it is all of the professional athletes, college, basketball, football, and baseball, all had jobs.
Sure.
They needed to because they weren't really making a lot of. They had money enough to live on, but during that off time they wanted more money.
Yeah.
But the whole point of it is they didn't have money like now where they don't ever have to work again.
Oh, yeah.
They would retire and they had to go get a job.
Well, sure. If these guys back were still alive in the 40s and 50s, could open their eyes right now and say, holy smokes, look what we had our hand in. Right. And I got to bring this up real quick. And how many Sandy Koufax cards did you pitch up against the wall and lose?
Oh, yeah. A lot.
Don't we wish we had those cards?
Right.
Speaking about the old cards.
Yeah.
We could have thrown away millions and millions of dollars pitching them up against the wall or putting them on our spokes for the bikes to make the clicking sound.
Right.
We didn't know.
No.
Because it wasn't popular back then.
You just cared because the bubble gum wasn't that good. It was stale.
It was stale. You're
but
right.
But we chewed it anyway.
But again, that was our era. Now, these guys, they buy these cards and they hope to get this. The one kid just recently had a $1 million card. I don't know who it was. He opened the pack and there was $1 million card in there. A young kid. I'm like, God bless you. That's great. But why? What is it with this? It's ridiculous.
The game has – this cracked me up. Like, I'm listening to a radio show yesterday, and they were talking about the one guy. I won't mention the name, but he's like talking about college football's just not the same.
It's not. It never will be.
Okay. Let me tell you something. College football, people keep holding on to that amateur. Oh, it was great back then. They were getting paid under the table back then.
Yeah.
What cracks me up, people think, college football's been minor league forever. It's been the minor league of the NFL. These kids were always getting paid under the table. Not all of them. Some of them weren't. That was the whole problem you had with college.
SMU.
Because, right.
They got caught. Millions of dollars.
Right. But they weren't the only one doing it.
Oh, no. They were.
No.
Yeah. All the board members.
Right.
They did that for years. I'm sorry. They do it in the high school. And they did it back in the day when I was coaching.
Right.
I'm telling you, that's what it was.
The whole thing, what always cracks me up with college football is people want to hold on to the way it was. Yeah. I get news for them. It was never that way.
No.
They just had it. They gave you a perception that it was that way. They wanted you to believe, they wanted us to believe, oh, these guys are amateurs. They're playing for the love of the game. Isn't it so great? It's so pure, blah, blah, blah. Look, again, depending on where that young person was going to school.
Yes.
Some schools did play by the rules.
Not many.
There were some. But there were some that did not, and they would pay the guys under the table.
Well, sure.
We always joke about it with, envelopes stuck full of money. But the point on it is now I know NIL has changed the
whole dynamics. It's changed.
Because, now it's above board.
Right.
And guess what? NIL, like, it always cracked me up with the talk about NIL. I said, well, the government now can tax that money.
Yeah.
And they always said how the Supreme Court ruled in the players' favor on NIL. I said, well, I could see that because bottom line, you can't dictate what a person can make off their name, image, and likeness.
Well, sure, I agree with that.
I don't care who you are.
Yes.
Now, the problem we have with college football, and I've said this many times, is what they want. They keep talking NIL and limit. I know they're supposed to pass something in Congress but I don't know if it's good. But that to me is irrelevant because what college football is inherently flawed, and the reason why is because they're trying to limit. They want to compensate the players, but they don't want to make them employees.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So now they're trying to compensate them.
Because they'll be liable for anything that happens physically, too.
Right. Here's the problem. They want to limit what the players make through NIL. This is inherently flawed because you can't limit NIL. The courts told you that. But the colleges keep still wanting to limit NIL and put a cap on NIL. The problem you have here is the only way you're going to be able to fix this is make them employees, pay them a salary, let them get a union, get agreement with the union.
So everybody across the board makes the same amount.
Exactly.
I get you.
And here lies the thing. You'll negotiate everything through your union, like the NFL and all.
Like all corporation in the world.
Exactly. So what you need to do, and I don't know if they'll ever want to do it because they keep trying to put the square peg in the round hole, as I use that phrase, but they're trying to limit NIL money that they can't legally. I mean, they're going to do this. They're going to pass this, whatever this thing, and try to pass this thing in Congress, but it's going to get
they're going to shoot it down
because the judge is going to rule, no, you can't limit what these guys can make through NIL.
For years and years and years, and I agree, these colleges made a lot of money off these players.
Always did.
But I have to run.
I'm
going to come back.
We're going to come back because the bottom line is, and I want to get into this because we were talking, you have to trying to limit the NIL. That's inherently flawed. Bottom line is going to be, in order for college to fix this, they're going to, in essence, have to make the players employees of the universities. Then they can dictate how much they will make. The players will probably get a union, which they do in all other sports and professional, because reality is college football players and basketball players and college athletes are to some degree professional. They bring money into the university, et cetera. But bottom line is they're going to have to make them employees. Colleges will get a union. They will in turn get an agreement with the NCAA if they're even around. They're going to have to negotiate with the players' union for the college players, and they're going to negotiate transfer. They can negotiate contracts, and players will be paid by the university, and they're going to have, maybe they could put a salary cap as far as what players can pay or schools can pay the players, but the school themselves are going to have to pay the player. They're trying to use NIL as the vehicle, and inherently that's flawed because you can't limit NIL money because you have to be so selective. I mean, you're going to tell an 18 or 19-year-old kid you can only sign an NIL deal off your name, image, and likeness for $10 million or $3 million or $1 million, or we have a cap on NIL. But the problem is you can't limit an athlete how much they can make on their name, image, and likeness. Courts have already said this. So in order for colleges to maybe get a handle on what's going on, colleges were going to have to start directly paying the employees, make them employees, put them as benefits. Maybe they sign year-to-year contracts, and they could cut them after 1 year. But then bottom line is the players will be getting a players association, and you'll have the basketball and the football players have a union representing them when they go against college as far as the NCAA, if I'm using them as being the team that's going to dictate money. But ultimately, they're going to have to come to an agreement, and they're going to have to set up a pay structure, usually by the schools will have to get, and schools will have to make a decision, how much money do they want to spend on paying the players. And some schools will probably say, look, we're not going to want to pay the players, that amount of money. We're only going to pay our players a certain amount of money, and the players will have to decide if they want to go to that school or not based on how much they can get paid. Then ultimately, the schools are going to have to get together and determine, do they want to put a salary cap on how much the schools are going to directly pay their players? But as far as then the players, they can go out on their own and get their own NIL deals, and because you can't limit that. But they're going to have to take the NIL out of the form. To me, they're going to have to take the NIL out of the formula completely, and they're going to have to just lay this as the New York Giants, as an example. I'm just throwing that out. They pay their players so much money. They have a salary cap. The NFL dictates a salary cap. But bottom line, they don't limit the New York Giants or any professional team. They don't limit their players on how much they can get on their name, image, and likeness, because they know they can't. So they pay their players. And if you look at the salary structure of the NFL or the NBA or any professional team, they pay their players a salary, but they don't dictate to the player how much they can make on NIL. If a player can go out and make more money on the side, fine. You take any professional athlete. No, I mean, especially a very well-known one, they make a lot of money off NIL. In fact, Michael Jordan made more money outside of the NBA when he was playing. In fact, his quote NIL, or his outside deals with Nike and the other companies, was a lot more than he ever made as a player. But they could never limit Michael Jordan on what he could make, or any player, what they can make outside of the sport. College needs to go to that model to get any kind of regulation. They need to set up a salary schedule and treat these players like professionals, which they are. Forget about NIL. Salary, they get paid so much money by each school. The schools can dictate how much they want to pay the player. Then the players could shop around and go to the school's going to pay him the most money salary-wise. And then NIL, let the player do whatever they want under their own NIL, and they can make as much money they can outside of football. That's how college has to solve this. But they're trying to solve the problem by using NIL to dictate how much the players are going to get paid. And inherently, this is all going to get struck down. It's already been struck down by the courts. The Supreme Court struck this down. They can't limit NIL. And, I mean, for years, college wouldn't pay NIL because they didn't want to pay the players for their jerseys, et cetera. We ran through all this back in the day. And now they're saying, okay, now we have to pay the players some money, but we don't want to directly pay the players. We want to use NIL as the source. And I keep going back to, you can't use NIL as, quote, the source, because ultimately they're going to lose that in court. They have to set up a salary scale through each school, and each school will say, okay, how much money do we want to budget to pay our players directly? So the Northwesterns and the Ohio States and Michigans of the world, just throw 3 schools out, they will go ahead and start paying their players directly as a salary. So Ohio State will pay their linemen $100,000 a year. Then ultimately they're going to have to figure out, the colleges are going to have to figure out, do they want to limit what these teams can spend paying players, but they can't use NIL as the vehicle to do so. The schools are going to have to go into their own coffers and actually pay them money as they pay the coaches, and everybody else that works for the university. They're going to have to make these young men and women direct employees of the college, like they pay the coaches, and they're going to actually pay the players directly and not get NIL involved in it, because again, they're trying to use NIL to limit how much they want to pay the players. Can't do it. So set up a salary structure. You'll go ahead and then you can pay the players directly through the school. So it's not any different than paying the coach. Coaches get so much money from the schools. So now schools are going to have to pay their players directly. You can't use NIL. NIL is basically, again, on their own. Michael Jordan had his own NIL deals, if you want to call it that. He made all the money he did, and I'm just using him as an example.
Sure.
But Jordan made more money outside of the sport than he ever did playing the sport, because he was obviously the greatest player and the most popular player, and probably still is to this day. And I believe he still makes billions of dollars off his name, image, and likeness because he's Michael Jordan. But it had nothing to do with his NBA salary. In fact, his NBA salary was a pittance to what he was actually making off his name, image, and likeness, his shoes, etc. The Jordan,
billions.
exactly. So the point is, colleges will have to adopt that model to what is really, that's the model, and they don't want to, because they don't want to set it up to pay the players directly through the universities. They want to use NIL and say, okay, we're going to set up these NIL and pay the players, but we're going to limit NIL per school, so we can only pay the players so much based on the NIL. And what's going to ultimately happen, and they don't want them to transfer every year, but the problem you have there is scholarships go year to year. So what people don't hear this, colleges can cut a guy after 1 year because they don't renew the scholarship.
Right.
So if they get hurt, the player gets hurt, the team could say, well, we got 3 tight ends coming in that are better than you are, and you're hurt anyway. We're not going to renew your scholarship. You have to find another place to go play, or you have to go figure it out on your own, because you could come here and pay. You're going to have to be a student, but then you have to pay the tuition.
Right. There was an example, and I know there's the McCarthy family. There was the one McCarthy that played at Notre Dame in Mooney Kid, and he was related to somebody. And then his younger brother went there. I don't know if he broke his neck or hurt his neck. And I don't recall who the coach was. I don't know if it was Charlie Weiss or whatever. Right. And he had a full ride. And at that point, they could have said, well, he can't play, so see ya. They honored his scholarship. So they let him finish out school, which I'm assuming he did. Why wouldn't you at Notre Dame with a free ride? But my point to that is, on an injury at football, my thing is, they should have to let these kids finish out school. If they can't continue to play, they're playing for you as a college representing there. They're giving their talents to you. You're making money. You're doing what you got to do. Okay, it could be a freak accident such as his neck. Right. Okay, they should be, I don't want to say forced, but they should have to honor that contract, because they gave him a contract saying you're getting a free ride. Just because you can't play, you still can go to school there and stuff. So I'll give Notre Dame and that coach, whoever it was, credit for that. Because, again, it's a different situation, but I understand.
Well, you see, ultimately, the problem with that is some coaches did that.
Yes.
Woody Hayes did that. He was notorious for kids that got hurt. Woody wouldn't yank their scholarship. He would say, you play, you stay here, you get your grades, you go to class, we'll pay your school, because I want you to get an education. But it's not all coaches look at it that way. In fact, this is years ago, there was a special on SEC schools who were notorious for over-recruiting, getting players, and then weeding them out after 1 year and say, okay, this guy's really not that good. We're not renewing his scholarship. And that guy's not that good. We're not renewing his scholarship because we just recruited 2 guys we think are better. So they were always notorious for, some schools were over-recruiting. They were at least accused of that. And then they would not honor the 4-year scholarship. They'd have to, because scholarships go year to year.
Yeah.
So not all guys, not all coaches do that.
Right.
That might be the exception to the rule.
Sure.
Because we'll get into that, because you have money issues, and then you've got other issues with scholarships back after this.
Are you ready to join the legacy? This is your chance to become part of something special with the Youngstown Patricians. Honoring the proud football tradition of the Valley, we're on the lookout for talented post-high school athletes who want to make their mark on the field. Whether you're a seasoned high school athlete, college, or former professional player, develop your skills and become part of a team that values hard work, dedication, and community spirit. Don't wait. Begin your path to the gridiron by visiting youngstownpat.com or contacting us on Facebook at the Youngstown Patricians. Be bold, be legendary, join the Youngstown Patricians today. Are you tired of switching apps just to catch your favorite shows and live events? Say hello to the iMedia1 Network app, your one-stop destination for streaming and everything that matters. From national sports to exclusive local content, Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast are now all in one place, anytime, anywhere. Download the free iMedia1 Network app on iOS and Android and unlock the future of sports audio in the palm of your hand. The iMedia1 Network, your sports app in the Valley.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Sherman Gillums Jr., Paralyzed Veterans of America.
For more than 70 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has helped hundreds of thousands of veterans get all the benefits they have earned.
Al Kovac Jr., Paralyzed Veterans of America.
We provide one-on-one support tailored to your individual needs, including healthcare advocacy, benefits support, and career assistance.
For more information, call 1-800-424-8200 or visit pva.org. A public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Saturday Morning Sports Page back. Pat Lucia. Bob Gessler filling in for Dave Clark. We go to 11 today. We're off next week. Football is getting here, though. Like I said, high school football is, 2 weeks away.
2 weeks.
It'll be here even before we know it. It seems that way. But then college starts on Saturday, August 29th. And then ultimately, you've got the NFL starts Wednesday, September 9th, is when they kick off their season. And the full Sunday, or the first full Sunday of NFL, would be Sunday, September 13th. So you've got Wednesday the 9th. Thursday is the game in Australia. That's San Francisco versus L.A., and that's on Netflix, so you got to have Netflix to watch that game. I know that's been a lot of criticism that, the NFL's going to have games Christmas this year all on Netflix. And, they will, again, people will be upset because that used to be the NBA's day.
Yeah.
It was Christmas, but the NFL's decided to take that over.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, if the NBA still plays on ABC, NBC, whatever, people are going to watch that. I'm not going to pay to watch a football game. I'm sorry. I'm not. So it's just how it is.
You might be in a minority there, Bob Gessler, because most people will basically pay to watch the NFL on Netflix on Christmas. The ratings indicate that. The NFL is still kind of driving the proverbial boat, if I want to call it that. They will basically, they dictate NFL is number 1, college football number 2. After that, I actually think now that baseball is probably behind the NBA. At least it seems like this year the NBA has moved past baseball for being, I want to call it number 3 if you want to say that it's pro football, NFL, college football 2. NBA is probably 3. And I'll put baseball 4. Baseball now evidently losing a lot of interest. a lot of fans think they're going out on strike. Talk about them actually losing an entire year. There's going to get into dispute about the salary cap that the owners will want to go ahead and put into play. Obviously, all the rhetoric right now is not good. The players obviously not even considering anything along this line. This may go back, obviously, to 1994 when we actually lost the World Series. Baseball did basically disappear, and then came back in 95 when the owners caved. And ultimately, because if you look at 1995, it did start, baseball started late because they were actually still on lockout in 95. And then the owners basically changed their mind and opened up the season. And 1995 got started. But then baseball obviously did suffer from lack of interest, from people not going to the parks, etc. And then it was the 1998 home run race between Sosa and Mark McGwire that got some people back in the seats. Now, some people believe out there that baseball really never fully recovered from the 1994 strike, and even though they did come back, they're still not the same as it was before 1994. That's obviously well over 30 years ago. Be interesting if you start looking at numbers. There may be a little grain of truth to that thought that I've heard this past week listening to sports talk radio, that baseball still is not what it used to be back in 1993, and then when they went out on strike in 1994. I don't know, there's probably some New York Yankee fans that would disagree, since the Yankees won 3 titles 4 and 5 years. I don't know. Baseball might be back maybe in New York, but across the country, maybe somebody could really debate that. But I know for sure baseball's not on any level near the NFL or college football. And the question really comes down to, I really equate NBA basketball and Major League Baseball as being in that, right in that category of who's more popular, the NBA or the MLB. And I think right now, I think the NBA has actually got more interest and is edged ahead of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball's kind of gone through a problem this year. Games are hard to watch, a lot of strikeouts or home runs, but a lot more strikeouts. The American League is just wide open as far as the teams. They're all bunched in, no clear-cut favorite in the American League. And then obviously the other problem on the other National League, it's the Dodgers buying basically everything. Every free agent the Dodgers are taking, and then they made the trade this past week for Skubal, and now he's a Dodger. One of the best pitchers in baseball. Detroit traded him to the Dodgers, and now the Dodgers continue to stockpile all the talent. And to remember, the Dodgers have bought this team. Not a lot of homegrown guys. I know some people think, like, if you go back in 1996 and then 1998 and 98, bottom line is just a technical difficulty here. Anyway, the New York Yankees back in the late 90s. If you look at the Yankee roster, I know some people believe Steinbrenner went out and bought the team. That team was not bought by George Steinbrenner. In fact, if you look at the 1980s, where Steinbrenner tried to buy a title, it didn't work well in the 1980s. If you look at the Yankees, then they only made the one World Series, the strike year in 1981. And then the rest of the decade, they were literally a disaster. Steinbrenner buying all the free agents that didn't work out. But the 1990 Yankees were a team that was built with homegrown players. Jorge Posada, the catcher, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettit. Those players came up through the Yankee system, and then the Yankees made some very Gene Michael, the GM, made unbelievable great trades. They got Paul O'Neill for Roberto Kelly. They got Scott Brocious, the third baseman. They built the team. Tino Martinez was a trade with Seattle. They actually put this team together through homegrown players and trades. So the Yankees, that I guess if you want to call it the dynasty of the 90s, if you want to go out on that level, the Yankees of the 90s was a team that was built really with trades and homegrown players. The Dodgers, fast forward to 2024, 25, and now 26, they are looking to be the only National League team ever to win 3 in a row. That team, when you look at the Dodgers, the team is pretty much all free agents. That the Dodgers have just paid a lot of money, millions upon millions of dollars to build this team. The Dodgers have a lot of money. There was a bankrupt team that they bought, and they've just basically have got more money than any other team out there, and they just sign free agent after free agent. They give them buku money. There's no salary cap to limit what the Dodgers do, and that's where the big rub will be coming in when the collective bargaining agreement comes up at the end of this year. Is will the owners lock out the players, which will obviously then force no playing of baseball? How long will the lockout last? Because the players are not going to let the players back in until they have a salary cap. Baseball is the only league that does not have a salary cap. So now the players or the owners want to basically dictate this year, as this is going to be the final year of baseball, unless the players agree to a salary cap. Looking at at least the rhetoric now coming from both sides, it looks like the players are not going to agree to a salary cap. And depending on, the question will come down to, is the old proverbial game of chicken, who's going to cave first? Do the owners cave or do the players cave? Because ultimately it sounds like to me we are basically two cars going head-on collision, and who's going to basically get out of the way first? Will it be the owners or will it be the players? Because the owners will want to put a salary cap in. Again, baseball is the only professional sport with no cap. The Dodgers will be, if the Dodgers win it this year, they will be the first team in history, National League team, to win 3 in a row. No National League team has ever won 3 titles in a row. The Dodgers are looking to do it this year. They would be the first one. And what's the really kick in the proverbial butt, or the kick in the teeth, is the Dodgers are doing it by basically buying players with no cap. They can go out and buy any free agent they want. They have the money. They have the resources. They play by the rules. They're not circumventing the rules. They play within the rules, and they're able to basically stockpile and get every pitcher they want, every player they want that's a free agent, pay them whatever oodles of money they need to buy. And the Dodgers could be the first team in baseball history, first National League team in baseball history to win 3 in a row. And if they do it, they're going to do it by an open checkbook. That's how the Dodgers are going to do it. They've built this roster. It's not like the Yankees back in the 90s. I gave you the breakdown. The Yankees made great trades and great players came up through the minor league system.
Right.
And they developed, because Steinbrenner back then, Steinbrenner got suspended by Major League Baseball, so he couldn't interfere with what Gene Michael, who's maybe one of the best baseball people of all time, put this great team together through trades and homegrown talent. Jeter, Posada, Pettit, Mariano Rivera, all came up through the Yankee farm
all Hall
system.
of Famers, if you
all
ask
Hall
me.
of Famers. And bottom line is, they built it. They built the team the old-fashioned way, through the farm system and trades. Paul O'Neill was a trade. Scott Brocious was a great trade. Tino Martinez, another great trade. But and one thing the Yankees were able to do that other teams could not, they could re-sign the players and not lose them because Steinbrenner had the money to pay the players to stay there. That was the difference. Those players for the Yankees stayed in New York because Steinbrenner would pay it so they would not leave. So that was the difference then. But George didn't go out and he tried to do that in the 80s and it did not work. And in the 90s, he got suspended. Gene Michael took over, built the team through the farm system and through trades. They had the dynasty. But fast forward to 2025, 26, the Dodgers might be the first team, but they'll do it the way by writing checks and paying out, just outspending everybody.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. They did the salary cap in the NFL to try to balance the teams out, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Basically,
do you think that eventually will happen with baseball? Because let's face it, some of the teams that have not won, they're not as competitive. They'll never be able to compete like the Yankees or LA. I mean, it's just how it is. It seems like it's really one-sided, and they got to balance it out a little bit.
Here's the problem you have right now. We talk a little bit salary cap in the NFL. I mean, Major League Baseball. I think the problem you're going to have is you're going to have a lot of problems on this in a lot of different ways. One way, the Dodgers have all these players under contract. They're not going to be able to reduce overnight, get down to the salary cap level because these guys are all on long-term deals.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
Major League Baseball, and then here's the other, and that's that side. Yankees kind of the same boat, is you've got certain players making like $39, $40 million, and ultimately you're not going to be able to say you have to get down to a certain salary cap number because you're contractually tied into the players. Now, the other side, you have the Miami Marlins, or their payroll is 78. They're talking about a floor. If you have a cap, you got to have a floor. You're talking $150 million floor. Cleveland Indians or Guardians.
Indians.
Yeah. I believe their salaries are $100 million. Chicago's the same way. White Sox. Miami's at like $78 million.
Wow.
Those teams are going to have to, Miami's going to have to double their payroll in 1 year. Cleveland's got to put $50 million into their payroll in 1 year because they have to get to a salary floor. Can't happen. They're going to have to, and that is the $100 million question, if baseball can do this, which I don't think they're going to, because I think ultimately the owners are going to cave because they're losing I don't think they want to lose that much money. I mean, all those games are not going to, that means all that money they're going to lose. The problem you're ultimately going to have is these teams like the Cleveland and Chicago White Sox, Cincinnati, the Pittsburghs, they're going to put a lot of money into their payroll to get it up, especially Miami. They're going to have to double their payroll. I don't know if they have the revenue stream to do it. Because baseball doesn't have the TV contract that the NFL has. The NFL's got a TV contract. All the teams make a lot of money off TV contract, so you can kind of dictate those teams have to spend so much money, and they do. But the point is, with baseball, you don't have the TV contracts are all over the board. LA's got a great TV contract and a lot of money, so they could spend forever. And that's the problem you have with baseball, that you don't have an even distribution of revenue across the board.
So how could they try to balance it out? Would they do just a contract for Major League Baseball instead of a contract for the Yankees or LA Dodgers? How would you... What's possible that you could do that where it's not going to hurt? And I don't want to say this.
No.
You hurt the team, hurt the owners, because now they got to come up with that.
Right.
Because let's face it, they play a hell of a lot more games in baseball than football does. But your average football stadium holds, let's say, average 60,000. And in that 18 games plus that you're going to be a sellout or very close to it if you put any kind of product out there, and you're going to fill your stadium. Again, is that balance out? I mean, you're getting more revenue from football, not so much from baseball, but baseball you're playing 5 times the games that football is playing.
162, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, so how
you
do you...
play 81 home games in
That's
baseball.
Insane to me. That's a lot of, that's a lot of games.
You put 20, 20, but some of the stadiums sell out. Like,
some
do, some
Yankees.
don't. Yankees.
Dodgers,
the Phillies, Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philadelphia
big baseball
will.
Town. St. Louis.
What about Atlanta? I'm not a big follower.
Atlanta does average. They're not.
Man, at one time with those guys with Smoltz and those guys, they had to fill that stadium for years.
But baseball and Atlanta's not the greatest sports town. It's an okay sports town.
Average at best.
It's average. But when you start comparing, when you look at baseball, the problem you ultimately have is you have a lot of have-nots, and you have teams like maybe Cleveland and you have Miami that they don't have the revenue stream.
Right.
And that's what I keep bringing up. I'm going, well, how is Miami going to start? Does Miami have a revenue stream to support a $150 million payroll? Because that's what they're going to need. So they have to sell the team. Does the Cleveland Guardians have that? Do they have, the owners have that revenue stream coming in to pay a $150 million payroll? And then I'm looking at these other teams like the Chicago White Sox that are like at 100, and they're like slightly above Cleveland. Again, another team that's going to have to really kind of like mortgage the bank, sort of to speak, to get their payroll up. And do they have a revenue stream to support it? So then one of these teams, and I keep looking at those teams thinking, can they afford the $150 million payroll that they are now required to buy? Now they don't have that. You see, the salary cap goes both ways. You got a cap, but you have a floor. And the floor could be almost a bigger challenge, as big, if not a bigger challenge, to line up with than the ceiling.
Ceiling.
I mean, the Dodgers, Yankees, and the Mets are all way over it. I think than the Sox are. Some of those now, but those 3 teams, they could, if depending on how much guaranteed money they have lined up, they can't get to the top. They can't get below that salary cap ceiling because they're contractually tied into all those players. Like the Dodgers, they're going to have to be given like maybe 3 years to do that, because you just can't tell to the Dodgers, okay, you got to get to this number when they're contractually tied to all these players that they went out and bought for years.
Yeah.
So you just can't. And then what are you going to do? Take those high-paid players and dump them on the lower teams and say, here, you guys got to take these terrible contracts, but you got to take these guys because you have to get your salary above or up to 150. So you have to start taking out bad contracts that the Dodgers and the Yankees have in order to balance the boat. So it sounds good on paper to talk about a salary cap.
Right.
But because Dave Clark and I talked a lot about this, the problem you ultimately have, to me, is they waited too long. The salaries are way out. They're too far out of whack. They had a good chance in '94 is probably when they should have stuck to their guns, sort of to speak. You could have had a better chance putting it in now. But now when you have 3 players make more than one team combined, they're inherently their problem. Like you have Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, I think with their 2 salaries combined almost equals what the Marlins get paid. So, and then you take the Dodgers side, you have a few of those, Ohtani, and I know he deferred a lot of his money, and some people are like complaining about the deferment issue. They shouldn't allow that. But the point is, when you just take their, and Juan Soto is making, he has a contract paying $765 million. I mean, I grant
baseball.
It's baseball.
Good Lord.
It's insane. But the point is, with baseball, I think the salaries are so totally out of whack.
Yeah, they are.
There's too much of a variance between the have-nots and the haves.
Yeah.
How do you just bring it back into some
an even level?
An even level.
Yeah.
I think you need years to do it. You need at least 3 to 4 years to do it.
Yeah, this
At
isn't
least.
something. This isn't something you're going to be
You're
able
not
to
gonna
turn the switch
that
and do
right.
next year. This
No.
is how it's going to be.
No.
This is going to take years because then
Right.
you have to say, okay, Yankees, okay, Dodgers, this is what's going to happen in 3 years. So you can't offer these contracts.
No. Well, then when the Dodgers, I mean, technically, not only that, but the Yankees and the Dodgers can't sign anybody.
Correct.
Because that's the other thing is by putting this salary cap in play, you'll take the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Yankees and say, okay, guys, you can't sign anybody because you're so far above the cap.
No.
You got to get down. So ultimately, when these contracts expire, then when you cut down below the cap number, then you can maybe sign a player. But until then, you can't sign anybody.
Yeah, and the problem is an Aaron Judd isn't going to go to a Marlins because they can't afford him.
They can't afford him. Well, there's the other problem you have is then you're telling Miami and Cleveland and Chicago White Sox, to name one, but then you're telling those teams, oh, by the way, you got to pony up a lot of money. Miami, you have to double your payroll. Cleveland, you got to infuse $50 million into your payroll. Chicago's the same way. And so I think, Cincinnati's like $20 million below, and Pittsburgh is another team. I look up the numbers, but they're below that floor. They got to pony up money to get to the floor.
Right.
And I think there's teams that I don't think conceivably can do that. And Tampa Bay.
Oh, no, there's no way.
No.
That'd be like me saying, you coming to me and saying, okay, well, we want you to redo your buildings, do this, do that, and this, and it's going to cost you, $200,000. Yeah, you got to do it. Well, I don't have that kind of money.
Exactly.
It's the same. I know it's two way different,
no,
but it's exactly how you say it.
Theory, that's it. The theory is there. It's just a different level. But in theory, that's right. What you're basically saying is I'm going to you, any business, and saying, oh, by the way, we're going to put a law in here, and you have to start spending
X amount of dollars.
Double what you normally spend or a third of what you spend. You have to increase your expenses by 50% in order to be in compliance with the law now.
And how do you make that up? There's no way these teams could make it up.
And that's what I keep saying. How does Cleveland, how does Miami, and some of these other lower teams make up that money?
Because
they just can't do it.
Even if you raise your ticket prices, you ain't going to get anybody to go up there. If you don't have a product up there and you raise your tickets, that's why, kind of changing the subject real quick here, I can't wait to see what's going to happen when the new stadium's built. What ticket prices are they going to have for the Browns because of the indoor stadium and this and that?
You're going to have bigger PSLs.
That's going to be insane. Right. And I know somebody who has decent amount of money. He has made a good living for himself, was a season ticket holder for Cleveland. I think the last, he said, 2 years. They came to him and said, we don't understand. Why aren't you renewing your seat contract or whatever they call that? Yeah. And he goes, because I can't afford to pay for that and tickets and parking and food. You guys, I come up here and I spend $500, $600, $700 for one game.
For one game.
And I can't do that anymore. You guys are outsourcing me. Right. Everything, corporations got to start buying sections instead of just boxes because you're not going to fill your stadium.
There lies and that's good. That's almost, we could do another show off that. But yeah, but you're right.
I open can worms, don't I?
But that's true.
It is.
Now you're looking at that part of it, the impact on the fan. Because now these teams that need to infuse all this money, they have to start increase prices.
What's a ticket to an Indians game? I haven't been up there in years.
I don't know. They're probably 50, 60, $50.
There you go.
That's it, show. I don't know what to tell you, man. Everybody stay safe. Do not drink and do not drive. Thanks for coming in to do the show, Bob Gensel. As always, great job.
Have a good day, everybody.
Have a good day. We're out next week. Back. Take care. Do not drink and do not drive. Set a designated show. Saturday Morning Sports Page.
Sandrock Concrete specializes in all types of concrete, driveways, sidewalks, basements, and garages. We also do stamped colored concrete in many different designs. We do interior and exterior stuff.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem Sports Talk is on the iMedia1 Network, Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast
Network. Yes, indeed it is. The VSiN Weekend Morning Line. Happy Saturday to you. Can the Boston Red Sox continue their red-hot run? Well, they're massive favorites today against the West Sacramento A's. Two teams headed in the wrong direction. At some point, I mean, it is baseball. They are going to lose, but, man, this run is just insane. 27-3 over their last 30 games. They're back at it today. Jake Bennett will start. 4:10 first pitch for the Red Sox. Gage jump goes for the Boston Red Sox today. Busy day of Major League Baseball, as we'll have a great pitching matchup. First game doesn't start until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Garrett Cole against Chris Sale. Would be nice to have a little earlier action in our lives, but so be it there, Major League Baseball. But Garrett Cole, Chris Sale, total sitting there at 7.5. Chris Sale and the Braves are around $1.38 favorites. And then on the flip side, and Mike Palmer was with us last hour, he is looking at the Los Angeles Dodgers to finish up this losing streak, 7 straight losses. They lose last night on a walk-off homer. Yamamoto on the hill today, and Mike is looking at the run line for the Dodgers today, as they are minus 105 are the Dodgers on the run line today. So to end that losing streak, the Dodgers this evening against the Arizona Diamondbacks sitting there at minus 105, minus 1.5 runs. So a good day of baseball should be in store for us, and we will see how things continue to shape up across Major League Baseball. We also get the debut in a Cubs uniform of Clay Holmes. Been out for a month plus. Clay Holmes and the Cubs, they are big favorites today in Kansas City, as well as they're around minus 105 on the run line as well. So Clay Holmes, who was just such a strong pitcher this year for the Mets, maybe one of their few bright spots, and dealt with that broken leg, back off the leg injury, and he makes his debut today for the Chicago Cubs. So good day of baseball in store for us, as mentioned, and a couple of plays handed out from Mike Palm. We'll revisit those at the end of the show. But coming up in less than 15 minutes, Chris Phillips